Here we go. Ahoy, crypto pirates! Welcome to your Discord syndicate FN Hangout. I am the captain, your Captain RG3, bringing you a launch party. Yes, we're going to be partying, talking, having a good time, seeing what's going on with a little thing called iBurn. Yes, it is the first time here on Discord Syndicate that I have actually talked about another crypto. And why? Well, first of all, I have to admit, I am actually involved. So there's a heads up for you right there. I'm involved in this, and we'll explain how, why, and where, and all that. So where should I start here? Have a little rant for you. Not too much of a rant, but a little bit of a rant. Because when I bring everybody up, I want to have a little precursor discussion before we go. There were, in my opinion, there were a few places in crypto history where a crypto actually proved a concept. And that was, first of all, with Bitcoin. Bitcoin proved that we can make a peer-to-peer transaction online without any intermediaries, without a double spend, safely and securely over the internet, without governments, banks, or anybody being involved. No intermediaries. Thank you, Bitcoin. Then Ethereum proved that we could program these things to do some really cool stuff. So the really smart guys decided to try and make them do really cool stuff. But mostly scammers came in and said we can make them do nefarious things. And that's what we've had for the last 7-8 years. On top of that, Ethereum and its blockchain woes, its scalability issues, its fees, its high gas, made it difficult for these people, these smart people, to make things on the blockchain. And then Richard came along and created Hex. First DeFi protocol, very simple, just kind of like Bitcoin. You can send it, receive it, but it was the first truly DeFi protocol that you can actually stake, mint yield, without any miners. You basically become your own miner, utilizing the token's smart contract. Ethereum, thank you for giving us Hex. But Ethereum was broken. Richard decided, hey, I'm going to make a better blockchain. You guys are going to be able to do all this cool stuff on it, and it's going to make Hex better. And we all know that that's what has happened. It's made Hex better. But it's also made room for a bunch of people to make a bunch of different protocols. Now, it's still crypto, guys. You still have scammers. You still have people here that are trying to leech off of you, leech off of the systems, leech off of communities, all that kind of stuff. And they're not really value adding. They're just putting shiny things in front of your face, getting everybody to jeet into these things, pushing number up and then rug pulling, or pushing number up so that they can siphon out while other people are getting in. And hopefully they can keep the narrative of the hype going long enough to just keep each new crypto. Some of these things are almost like the old days when we had the hourglass games. It's like everybody, come on, let's get in, make hype, let's get everybody in, and then boom, first people are getting out, and then it's Ponzi's, right? Ponzi's. When are you going to start deploying stuff that makes sense, that brings utility to the blockchain? Well, in my opinion, Alex from Hedron did that. He put some use case. He put his brain together, made a use case for the T-shares, wrapped them, made HSIs. Now you can move them around. Has his own protocol over there, Hedron and iOSA. iOSA being the token that we're going to be talking a little bit about tonight. So I'm not going to get into that, but I'll wait until we all come up and we start talking about that. So we've had a horrible bear market, It's been brutal, to say the least. Hexicans have taken the brunt of it. Why? Well, they're already shell-shocked. They've already had to go through hell. Even during their bull run, they went through hell. But there are a lot of people out there that did a lot of work. A lot of work. People that were trying to make protocols, trying to make dexes, trying to make tokens that do things, Web3 space, NFT guys, whole marketing gangs put behind the NFT marketing place, NFT place to try and bring adoption. All these things we've tried to do to get adoption. There's other people out there, spinning off tokens trying to make adoption. So that's the work that's being done. Some of it's honest, some of it's garbage, some of it's dishonest. You have to understand the space that you're in. You're in the wild, wild west on the corner of the world somewhere with a bunch of bad guys and a handful of good guys. And you need to protect yourself in doing so. Even myself, anybody else in this community, you need to take all of our words with a grain of salt. You need to do your own research, and you need to learn and understand these tools that are being introduced into the world for the first time. What does that mean? Well, first of all, you've always heard me say this: there's nothing new under the sun. None of this shit that you guys have right now is special. None of these financial tools that exist in crypto right now are anything special. They were doing this shit thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago, this stuff all existed. Only now we can harness them and take things that used to just exist in sentiment, in market crashes and booms and emotions and all that. We can take those things now that exist in the marketplace before, the good things, all of the good externalities, and plug them into a cryptocurrency and make those good externalities create value. And that's what the brilliant minds are doing right now. That's what the brilliant mind of Gifford Ware just did with his GIF and PGIF token launch. He put a bunch of beautiful externalities together and made a system that is going to help pump the ecosystem. And that's what Richard was asking us to do, to go out and build things, go do cool stuff. And Gifford did some cool stuff. Guy is brilliant. And I'm honored to be associated with him and affiliated with him, and helping them to get their project off the ground. I'm not doing much. I'm actually just a fly on the wall, just listening to what they're doing and watching them, and just amazed at what's happening, watching the audits take place, learning how to read code, learning how to look at smart contracts and interact with smart contracts. It's been a heck of a learning experience, watching Liquidity, playing with Liquidity. All of these games we have at our fingertips now, but they're not new, but they're put in front of us in a different way now. So tonight we're going to be explaining a little bit about what some of this technology is capable of, what it's doing. There is no ICO. There's no sacrifice. There's none of that. In fact, Stealth launched GIF 3 months ago, and it's just been running smooth, devoid of the bots. The community is out there using it. It's working. There's an arbitrage opportunity and an opportunity to mint these coins on your own. Nobody else is going to have to issue them to you, airdrop them, none of that. It's value in, value out. That's it. It's very cool. It's not a tax token, none of this. It's very, very cool how it works. So that's what's happening tonight. Party for that. But first I want to say something about somebody I'm going to bring up first. When I first came to this community, a little over 4 or 5 years ago, streaming anyway, I had it going on here with DCC and Hexologist and Crypto Coffee, and we were starting the FN Hangout. And in the middle of it, we had a couple of people that were just kind of supporting and would show up on the Friday nights and whatnot. And there was this one guy, Kinetics, that kind of took a liking to us and started helping us out and sticking around and whatnot. And I had a tragedy. I lost my father, and that that year, right when we were getting started. And I had to leave and go home and take care of business and do all that stuff for, it took me a few weeks, couple weeks at least to get all that taken care of. And without a hiccup, without even me asking, he said, I got you, man. I'll take the reins and run this thing for you while you're gone. Don't you worry. It'll be here. Ship will be floating when you get back. And he did that. And I never forgot that. And because of that relationship that we built, he and I have done everything under the sun that you can do in crypto. You name it. We've traveled the world together. We've built products outside of, the crypto space to help people mitigate taxes and build trusts and those kinds of things. We've gotten involved in a lot of different projects that weren't successful. We've minted T-shirts that got stuck in the canal somewhere that you guys may not have gotten to get a hold of. We've had like close to 1,000 shows here. We've been to every damn meetup and everything you can imagine. We even made a fucking movie. I mean, that's the kind of shit we did. And we never launched a crypto until things were right for it. And we want to honor Richard Hart and the PulseChain ecosystem by bringing this to it, by bringing it in a way that we think Richard would honor. We didn't do anything to build the community for it. We brought it with our integrity as we've had from the beginning here. If you want it, you got it. If you don't touch it. My suggestion is to you, stay away from it. You may not be ready for this. And most of you aren't. So beware, be careful, and don't take any of this as financial advice, but as a time for you to learn about how some of these systems and mechanisms can work. Because we're going to lay it out here for you tonight on how these things are working, what Richard has given it to us to go out and build on. And it's pretty fucking cool when it comes down to it. So without any more, I'm gonna bring up my partner, my buddy, my good friend, the guy that's really works like nobody's business behind the scenes, making all of this stuff happen. Everything that we've done here, he has been like the keystone of all of it. And this is my right hand man, Ken Mettex. What's up, dude? Party.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate the intro. It's nicer than I deserve. So thank you so much for that. I do appreciate that. But yeah, man, we've been through it, haven't we?
Yeah, yes, we have. And I'm sure this isn't going to help any.
Yeah, I know. It's probably not. So, but that's okay. I don't really care because most of you people out there, I don't give a damn about anyway, because you're a bunch of whiny pussies on Telegram and Twitter.
Don't make it harder on me.
But the rest of you guys are freaking cool. I'll let you guys decide which camp you guys fall into.
Yeah, it's I you know what, I take it with a grain of salt. I love all the Hexicans out there, man, whether they're talking shit about me or they take something that I say out of context and make me look stupid. Well, I've done plenty of making my own self look stupid, but it's all in fun half the time.
Yeah, but at least you're willing to laugh at yourself. Like, it's funny when dude, some of the memes that we've popped up in as of late, like, dude, I got an actual serious chuckle out of it. I'm like, I don't know if that was meant to be malicious or just to be funny, but I thought it was hilarious. So,
are you talking about the trading cards?
Yes.
Dude, the trading cards are looking.
Those are hilarious. They are so funny. They are.
I literally reached out to the artist and told him, dude, you have me freaking busting up, man, because I looked at it. And half the time, you go, God damn these motherfuckers. Would you just fucking leave me alone, right? But sometimes you see something and you spit your freaking coffee out, right? And when I saw that one with me as the midget wrestler, pulling some guy's hand out, it was great. And the Freddy Scroats, they had Freddy's face in the
They're pretty funny, man. They're pretty funny. You got to give them credit, man. Like, that's a lot of work to throw someone into a meme and as Lights Out in here says, whoever made those is ruthless. Yes, they are. But I think that just made it that much funnier. Like, someone went out of the way. But I do appreciate, oh gosh, who was it? I don't have their thing up right now. But the gentleman that made those or lady that made those, thank you for spelling my name correct. That's all I care about. So I appreciate it.
It's flattering to get memed all the time, to be honest. At first it was hard for me to take. I was like, man, this ain't cool, man. We didn't like this is what got the kid in the neighborhood beat up and shit. Like, you do stuff like that. And then after a while I started to understand, like, this is their playground. This is their world. This is what they do. And one goes out and then the next one comes out, and it's just like one after it. It doesn't matter. And the artistic work on someone like that was brilliant with the cards and the freaking.
It was.
It was brilliant.
I'm a blood-sucking tampon vampire, though. I'll forever be remembered as that.
And proctologist for Hexo, that one was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, for someone to have enough, gumption to go out there and just, start slapping around people in the community that are, been around for a long time or done things that, my hat's off to them. That was really, really cool. So anyway, I want you to go ahead, and we're going to bring up the panel and everybody that's showing up here in a minute, but I wanted you to go ahead and kind of put your 2 cents into what we've been doing over the last couple of 6-8 months. And, this has been going on for a while. It's not something new. We've been working on this project with GIF for a bit. So maybe you can just kind of lay it out for everybody a little what's going on.
Yeah. I won't touch on everything, but we finally decided, hey, if we're going to have this ecosystem over here, and we've got some good projects, but even 150 projects is not a full chain, and there's nothing to attract people to over here in the way of what you've got on Ethereum in comparison. And so we're a new chain. We're a new burgeoning, chain. We've got a sub community, the Tang Gang, that's creating more meme coins than I can keep up with. And that brings some sect of the people over. And they also focus on NFT and artwork, and that brings some sect of the people over. And then we've got guys that did, legit financial products like Aave fork and GMX fork and a balancer fork over at the PH team. And that's fantastic because we need those whale tools. Shout out to those guys as well. I know not all these communities get along, but it doesn't really, you and I tend to get along with all of these communities because we're not crapping on people for building over here. And whatever my relationship with somebody, and I know you feel the same way, is not contingent upon someone else's relationship with another person. And so we just kind of play neutral there because we know that these are all net positive for the chain. These are all things that need to be built on. We've got lending protocols now for, stable coins that have great opportunity here in the future. So we've got a bunch of cool things that are coming up. But one thing that we're not seeing is we're seeing a lot of forking of code and then changing things up just a little bit to be more custom tailored over here. But what we're not seeing is new innovation, or we hadn't yet. So we decided, you know what? We've got some really great ideas. We spent hours upon hours upon hours hypothecating on different systems and ways we could make things work and how we could create creation, not inflation, off of already fair launch tokens, so that there was no ICO, no money collected by us, like no sacrifice, none of that. Just if you want to participate, great. If you don't, that's okay too, because we're not enriched by it unless the price goes up and we happen to be participating ourselves. But it's not, there was no money that went into our pockets because of these launches. We as the team had to hop in and put up our economic energy too. We had to put skin in the game too. We didn't get anything for free. No founder token allocations, none of that nonsense. We wanted to do true fair launch, but we didn't like the way that Zen and TitanX did it. I think TitanX did it better than Zen, and that's why we decided, hey, and they're doing it over on the Ethereum blockchain, and we said, hey, there's already a bunch of eyeballs over there. And I was shocked and surprised to see how many people in the TitanX community didn't even know what PulseChain was. Yes, there were some Hexicans that found it because they knew of Jake, because he was originally at one point he was part of this community to some degree. And so we said, I think this is with the tokenomics that they created with their inflation model. This would be a great one for us to start making people aware of what's going on over here and still be a net benefit to their ecosystem on Ethereum, but then show them, hey, look there's a whole new ecosystem over on PulseChain. Let us guide you guys over here and lead that horse to water. We can't make them drink, but at least we can show them that there's something over here and then create some actual innovation on top of it. And so we've been hard at work. We hypothesized and we went ahead and we were certain it was going to work. So we launched a builder's token, the GIF and perma-GIF tokens just to prove our hypothesis or disprove it. I mean, the scientific method, that's all it is. You hypothesize on something, then you run the experiment and see if it works or not. We didn't even know that he had launched it right away. Like it took us a couple days to be like, hey, did you launch this? This has your name on it. He's like, yeah, I'm just, it's just an experiment. I just want to try it out real quick. And so we didn't really tell anyone because we didn't know. We wanted to see how the experiment played out. So we didn't want to just go blasting out to everybody. Hey, there's this new token. Everybody get in. And we didn't want to scream from the rooftops and then people get wrecked. And so we were trying to prevent that from happening. And so when we really saw this thing start to take off, it's like, okay, we better talk about this or else people, and it's funny how many people got mad at us that we didn't reach out to them. Now, my buddy Larry here, Kool-Aid, is in the chat here, and I can't say the same for him. I think he literally reached out to every single wallet on PulseChain to let them know that this thing was launched. At some point he did anyway. And we all know what a networker Larry is. So Kool-Aid just hitting everybody up, letting everybody in to, hey, you guys can participate in this thing if you want to. If not, no big deal. I just want to make you aware of it. And then we started talking about it publicly as it started doing exactly what we thought it was going to do, create a permeable on a token. And so now we've got some other things cooking, brewing up. Pulsar is going to be the next thing after this one, the iBurn. And it's amazing what I think we can do in the way of bringing parity to ERC and PRC 20s, bringing them over here, and maybe even possibly kickstarting. I know there's a couple people in the iOSA chats that are really disappointed that we're doing this, and I think it might be out of they're upset that for the last year they've been trying and they couldn't get iOSA to pump and get over that ceiling price, so that there was an arbitrage to re-kickstart the HSIs. And that's okay. They can be mad at us for that, but they won't be mad later if it does a fraction of what GIF and PGIF have done. And all of you guys out there, all you bag holders that weren't as deep into all the mechanisms and the arbitrage opportunity and the ceiling prices with iOSA and Hedron, they're going to benefit too. And so we're excited to be able to bring this and maybe bring some kind of cohesion back to the chain. I would like to see people start to get along just a little bit. And I think this might be a good catalyst for that. So that's what we've been building for about the last 6 months.
Right on. And we'll I'm sure we'll talk deeper. And so here's what's going to happen tonight. I'm going to bring Larry up and we're going to have some very intelligent dev minds coming up here talking and breaking it down. And I'm going to do my best to stop and interrupt everybody when I feel a dumb moment. Like when I'm in these meetings with these guys, there are moments where I just get real silent and I start thinking about what I'm going to have for dinner or what I got to go get at the store or whatever, because it just kind of starts going over my head. So I just kind of let that flow that way. So now that it's taken me, 6 months to basically learn the stuff that these guys have put together, I'm going to stop them and speak to you guys in Pirate how to really understand what's going on here in case it starts going over people's heads. So with that, I'm going to start bringing everybody up. First of all, our good buddy, the mouth from the south of Texas.
It's Captain Metaphor. It's Captain Metaphor.
I was trying to pick up a play out of your book.
Mouth from the south isn't bad. Nah, that's pretty good.
And then one of our smarter community members also, Nate McEdit. What's happening, bro?
Nate?
Hey, what's up? What's up? I've come to be a part of this now because I unfortunately did not get to And by the way, I did watch your guys' stream where you had Zenith on as well. That was fascinating, by the way. I started really getting into the deep about a little theory I got about how PulseChain itself can literally become its own like economy because of this type of thing you're doing, along with like the Atropa guys and just all this stuff. So it's absolutely fascinating. I love that you guys are really doing this. So
it's really cool.
No, definitely. It was funny because Zenith had no experience in like Hedron or all the rest of that. It was just a stream that you guys were on, and then Will was going to bring me a calzone, and then like 15 minutes the stream closes. Like, can I come? And I'm like, where are you at? I'm like, 12 hours. I'll be there tomorrow. Okay. And I threw him into the deep end, right? And we did the DGen roundtable where our audio interface broke 30 minutes or 30 seconds before we went live. And that was all fun. But man, he picked it up fast. Zenith is quick.
Hey, smart dude. And he's right here with us right now. I'm going to bring him up.
There he is. Speak of the devil.
What's going on, gang? Good to see everybody again.
Man, it's almost like you're sitting here with headphones next to me, but unfortunately, we don't have hot tub afterwards.
This is true. Although, I don't know. We did, that was a very interesting hot tub hangout with you, me, and Will. We sat through a rainstorm and a thunderstorm.
Right. And it's lightning all around us. And I'm like, it's okay. Sally Mae won't let me die. As long as I don't get out of the hot tub, like, you'll be fine. Fact.
True. Either way, congratulations, guys, on another launch. I know we haven't launched yet, per se. I've been tracking it pretty close, making sure. I saw that the Telegram today was very much full of, when launch? Launch now. Did Giffer launch it in our sleep? I can't tell.
He does that. He actually will do that. But no, it's putting the polish on all the rest of it. And he's actually still working. He's been grinding 22 hours. He's pulling game dev hour stuff. And that's just what passionate he is about, actually making sure stuff's done right, not rubber ducking, Open Zeppelin or Anvil or all the rest of that. He does it by hand, make sure it's right. And if it's not right, it's not ready. And you're just pushing the little finishing touches right now to get everything done. So please do not into things.
Yeah. And guys, everybody, I just got off the phone with Gift. A few words of wisdom for everybody out there. And, also some don't poke the wrong bears kind of message too. Guys, leave everybody in the iOSA chat room alone about this. They have nothing to do with the launch of iBurn. They're aware of it, but they can't answer questions for you guys. So don't hound those guys in the iOSA chat room. They're not going to be able to give you any information. You're at the right place right now. Make sure, guys, be careful. I saw multiple iBurns on this scan.PulseChain. So you guys got to be careful. Someone could be out there for your cash. So just make sure you just wait till the official contracts are released. There's no reason to rush into this thing.
No reason.
Participating, if you already have the iOSA in your wallet and you already have the Pulse for the protocol fee, the ratio is the same today as it is tomorrow and the day after and so forth forever into forever. So there's no reason to rush into this thing, guys. It is not a big deal at all. There may be a little bit of an arbitrage opportunity at the very beginning, but there's going to be arbitrage opportunities continually, just like there was with GIF and PGIF. Like the arbitrage opportunity still exists as we speak right now. I'm looking at Deck Screener, and right now you could be buying PGIF with your GIF and getting a better deal than if you were to actually run your GIF through the protocol to mint PGIF. So you guys got to realize there's an art both ways. If it's below the ceiling, you use your GIF to buy PGIF. If it's above the ceiling, then you sell down your PGIF and then buy back into GIF, either directly or using Pulse, and then you can actually stack additional Pulse with that. That arbitrage is going to exist with this particular project as well with iBurn and iOSA. I don't know if you guys noticed, but from the time that we announced that we were going to be doing something of this nature, I think that was 6 days ago now. I could be off. It feels like it's been 24 hours and 2 years all at the same time. But when we first announced that, there was literally a 50% price difference. It was 50% cheaper to buy eIOSA than PIOSA, and we're now within a 17% differential. So it is closing the gap quickly as people prepare and they realize they're getting the better deal with iCOSA versus PICOSA. So if the end result is iBurn and it's at a particular price at any snapshot in time, and PICOSA is still more expensive than iCOSA, you don't even have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that iCOSA is the lesser of the values, that you're going to end up with the same value when you mint. So if you guys want to close that gap, you're going to get a much better iBurn ratio going forward. But going back to my point before, please, guys, do not fall for scams. Do not look out for fake Telegram rooms. Wait for the official contract. We will launch it in the gift room. Make sure that's the official gift room that you're in. The contract address, we will post to Twitter too once we are ready to do so. So
we'll get that scrolling here in a minute.
We'll get you guys all the right information with that. Gift did want me to let you guys know that nothing that I want you guys to know this part. He's been hard at work and everything has gone very swimmingly. The problem we run into, as many people in this community know, and I wouldn't call it a problem, it's just a matter of waiting, is that our blockchain explorer here is trash. Let's just be honest. Block Scout is trash, and it takes forever to update and verify the contracts. So until contracts are verified and we can point to all the different contracts that are part of this ecosystem that we've just created, we're not posting anything. So we want to make sure everyone knows that they are verified. So we are literally waiting on the blockchain explorer right now, and we've been waiting a very, very long time. So, but everything has gone swimmingly other than that. So don't rush into this thing, and it could be 5 minutes from now, and it could be 10 hours from now. Who knows? It just depends on when the block explorer is willing to verify these contracts.
And one thing I want to add on that is that remember that we have creation, not inflation. It's one of the major pillars that we have with everything that we're doing. So if you
Which correlates with this, don't buy something you can mint. So that was a really good dovetail.
Well, no, it's not only that, but when you create it, you're actually burning the underlying asset and you're creating the asset with the economic energy to buy and burn it later. You're taking part in the process. The process with systemic design, not GD crypto, not mint something on gopulse.com. Systemic design, if you use the system properly, not only does it reward the system, it rewards the user by using the system. There's no need to buy an expensive token when you can mint it. Use the system as it's intended to be used instead of hearkening back to old fax machine maximalism ideas. Like, we're trying to unravel a different way of doing something and then retighten up these components as we go through, air quote, experimental tech. And by doing that, we're putting itemizations on different simulations that we're trying to see in real time to make sure that our thesis works as we move through more and more complex systems. So there's no reason to cheat. There's absolutely none. If you have the underlying components to make alchemy, to make this new asset, you have everything that you need. And there's no need to chase a price ceiling. And that goes the same thing with Ken was saying about arbing in between GIF and PGIF. When if you arb back down and then you create your GIF to PGIF, you already have Pulse on hand, right? And so from there, you're actually making the GIF that you just got more rare, and then making the PGIF that you just minted even more rare. You're enabling the seesaw, as I like to use, or the flywheel, to make everything reflexive, a reflexive-based systemic system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing that I was really interested in, is like, say with buy and burns, right? Buy and burns are a forever buyer, okay? And so what it kind of seems like you guys are doing is pretty decently close to that.
Oh, it's 100%. In fact, it leans in that almost 85 or 90% of the economic energy used to create only goes to the buy and burn, not just touching it a little bit like a tax token, a reflection token, or a percentage token. This is a majority weight goes to be a beneficial actor, or it's called an overwatcher, a benevolent whale, whatever you want to call it, that takes almost all that economic energy you brought in to build and create that asset to remove it off the market while removing the asset that you originally had in the beginning. So, Max called it a double buy and burn, but it's actually a compounding reflexive buy and burn. And that's where it gets really interesting, that if you arb that system and then go back through the loop, you have a balancing loop and you have a reinforcing loop at the same time.
Yeah, so the thing that basically it's like this, right? What you want to do is you want to mint some of these coins, and you just want to hold on to them, because ultimately what you have right now is a couple of bots, right? Some robots, if you want to say, that are just going to keep buying each other's coins. They don't care about the price, right? There's no emotion involved with that, and these bots don't need to get rich, so to say, right? They're a forever buyer, and they're benevolent because they don't care. And so, you're just constantly looping around buying each other's coins, basically. And
Right.
It's just a forever spiral upwards.
Well, here's the interesting thing about that, Nate, is that if you actually use the tools that we're basically teaching you how to use, it becomes Jeet-proof. Because let's just say someone like dumped 10 million GIF earlier today, and it immediately got bought back up. If that person that did that then turned it into perma-GIF, that 10 million is now removed from circulating supply because it got sent to the debt address. So by that person dumping, you can then arb down your PGIF if you wanted to, or whatever situation that you're in. When we have the entire iBurn reflexive wheel, you have many different arb situations that can handle this. And if you take that when somebody G'd out 10 million GIF and then push it right back to PGIF, that GIF is gone. It is gone, sent to the debt address. They will never get that position, air quote, because that supply has been removed and sent to somewhere that can never come back from. And then by doing that, 90% of that economic energy that you just did will remove the PGIF that you just created from existence. But you have to understand the system to really get these particular loops. So
I think that's the dumbest down version that you've ever done, and I am so proud of you right now, Kool-Aid. I am so excited.
Nipples on aisle 3. Nipples on aisle 3. Please get your nipples on aisle 3.
Just reminds me of Fern Goalie. Price check on prune juice, Bob. Price check on prune juice.
And at Shop Smart, Shop S Smart.
So the thing, like, Zenith, I really like the way you put it, comparing it to like perpetual motion and energy. In perpetual motions, you can always have perpetual motion, but you need a little bit of energy put in for it to continue a cycle, continue the spinning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say, like, if you were to have like, say, magnets, right? Magnets just keep spinning around and around, but where's the starting point? The starting point is an electromagnet. You have to put a little bit of electricity in first to get it started, right? And then it'll just keep going. But you always have to have a small amount of electricity going through that electromagnet, that singular one, right? So when it comes to this now, where is that starting point? Is that the iOSA end of it?
No. So, like, if you want to use your analogy, you're talking about, you have a snowflake. Mm-hmm. A snowflake is a precipice that creates a snowball. A snowball eventually creates an avalanche based on gravity, which is what you're talking about with your energy concept. Like, what Zeus talking about, economic mass, like tectonic plates. Eventually, you build up, and one shatters forward. But with this type of system, you have multiple sequential systems supporting each other up. So for this with iBurn, for example, you have the GIF and PGIF ratio, which is a 10 pulse window. However, iBurn is taking the entire system that we have with GIF and PGIF, putting that over there, and starts an entire different flywheel, as well as parity and all the rest that we're shooting for, as well as restarting the icosahedron machine, but bringing Hex in, creating the auctions and all the rest of that. But every iOSA that you put in 22.5x's the amount of economic energy that goes into this particular flywheel over here. So they're both a duality of systems. They're all supported and concentric on top of each other.
All right, you just got the hook, Larry. You just got the hook.
Now back to being confusing.
I'm going to go ahead and
explain
what he said in an easy to understand manner. So the GIF and PGIF protocol is already launched and it's already functioning. You can see it feeding into itself. Basically, you inject GIF and Pulse. GIF is burned. Pulse goes into buy and burn off of PETITION, which is the most efficient aggregator on the Pulse chain. To buy and burn that PGIF that you just minted yourself, a 1-to-1. The GIF got burnt. You got one PGIF. Goes on the market, buys it. Therefore, driving the price up, and also burns it, therefore driving the price up again. Now, the next protocol that's built, and who knows how many others can be built, the next protocol that's going to be built is only going to take 85% of that pulse that goes in to buy and burn the iOSA, and 15% of it is going to go to buy and burn PGIF. Therefore, continuously, each project that gets laid up, if there's more, are going to be helping out the PGIF protocol build more and more of that buy and burn. And what Larry's talking about is that 22 point, what was the percentage of the increase there?
Yeah, 22.5x.
So the 22.5x more buy and burn energy going into PGIF every time one of these protocols does that for it. So you can see how the PGIF is going to be getting the main financial energy from all of this, from all these protocols. But you can also see what it's done to iOSA already. Just the fact that something's coming out to help kind of kick it, wake it up. Maybe this protocol is going to do that to a lot of things, but for now it's working on iOSA pretty good.
Well, there's also the other side, is that economic energy of the ceiling being lifted in PGIF now allows someone to arb it and take that pulse they would have gotten from selling that down to pulse, not arbing between GIF and PGIF, to give them the pulse they need to push that to take their iOSA that they have and then spin that up through that flywheel, right? Or take that economic energy of pulse that they would have had to get E hex if the ceiling is correct, and then put that into iOSA to then get the iOSA to spin up that flywheel again. And then you also can arb the iOSA side and iBurn, just like you can arb GIF and PGIF.
So ultimately, the flywheels then at this point, as you like to put them, is basically you got the iOSA side. You have a loop of just constant buying and burning, and then you got iBurn now, and that's going to be the same type of loop. They both are going to help each other out, and then you've also got the pulse side as well. And you create out of 3 flywheels, you're creating essentially one big triangular loop that is constantly buying each other up. By the way, does it buy up pulse?
No, but technically the pulse that uses is economic energy based on whatever you're going into that is being bought and burned. So there is an economic.
What you used for the protocol is the pulse that's being used for the buy and burn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's also a little bit of amount of energy being put in then right there.
So Nate, you probably understand it because you're talking about loops. It's a reinforcement loop, right? You have a balancing loop and then you have a reinforcement loop. What people would call pumpamentals a reinforcement loop, they would call arbitrage a balancing loop. If that makes it easier to understand.
One thing I did want to comment on here is Tin Top says the energy input is retail FOMO. At first, yes, it sure is. But as there's money to be made through the arbitrage, that's what spurns people, the smart money that are making money with this token, not just holding it, but making money off the arbitrage opportunities. They're running it through the protocol. That actually nets them a greater value than when they're running it through the protocol. And they're taking, we're taking that buy and burn energy from the protocol and putting it back into buying and burning that token off the market. So yes, 50% correct. You are right. Unfortunately, 50% is still enough. No, I'm just kidding, Tin Top. I love you to death.
Well, the exciting thing is when we get like Tetra or an automated based system to actually handle this type of stuff. Most people have never thought about things this way because it's never been done. Like in the game design side, we do this kind of stuff all the time, but from the crypto side, it's never really been a point of contention that people wanted to really focus in on these pillars that we're talking about before, about creation, not inflation, principles, not promises, simulation, not speculation, economic energy put in, all these things that we put as paradigms and importance on how we're refining not tokenomics, but pillars and ideals that we're trying to keep spinning up and keep presenting, not just sack and maybe it'll work out.
Alan's asking if you can just please re-explain that. He was on the phone.
All right, Alan, you're getting a timeout for that one.
I don't know, dude. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I mean,
Alan is like one of my favorite trolls. Like from way back in the day, he is like one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, he comes in hard on our shows.
Oh, good. Good.
That's the one thing I like about the gift chat room is it reminds me a lot of the early Hex days, that it's just simple and quiet. And I mean, granted, it got a lot busier over the last 2 days.
I want to address some of these questions in here. So I hate to cut you off there, Larry, but I do want to get to some of these. Like, is it easier to hexplain than the T-shares? First of all, Crypto Hexplain did just do a video. I did the voiceover for it, explaining iBurn. So that is out there. And yes, it won't take you 6 months like it did us to figure out how T-shirt shares really work and what the real economic power behind them is. This is much simpler, but it's still, I think, could be as prolific. And as Franklin says, I think this narrative could be the one that brings people into PulseChain. We're hoping so. And we'll let the charts do their own talking.
Well, I guess that's the simple thing too. Is like, if you just understand that if you have a meme token like Hex, T-share train's really the most important part. And so until you actually take your Hex and turn it into your T-shares, that all the goodies happen. At least with me, I try to explain how the whole damn thing works. But that's why you've got Kinetics and RG and all those other people that can water it down simply. I'm just talking about how it actually works behind the scenes, but no one really cares about that. You should, but like, I think that understanding the easy way for a T-share is just turn it in, stake your Hex. You're good. You don't have to worry about EESBs, carrot and stick, how all the other things work. If you're just comfortable with it, hold your perma token. It's easy. You don't have to take it part in all the games.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Thanks, Randy Hilarski, for the $50. When will you burn or I burn? I don't know, bro. We're gonna have to talk about that one. But yes, coming soon to a crypto dex screener near you.
Probably the captain before you. Just give an age only. Just that being the only metrics that we're measuring right now. So,
so one of the things that we can kind of talk about that might make this a little more understandable, or a little more make people a little more excited about what's happening here, is the fact that all of the tokens involved here, without actually, well, obviously the LPs are part of the equation, but just by fact of them being tied in the way that they are with the Gifford protocol, they draw each other up. They lift each other up, just like LPs lift each other up, because the way they're tied together in this protocol, they bring everything along with it. For instance, the reason why nobody needs to cheat into this or get all excited and FOMO buy in is because if you're holding iOSA and Pulse right now in your wallet, you have the financial energy and to get as many of these tokens as you can get from minute one as you would tomorrow. You don't need to worry about that. You've got the financial energy to put into it and to participate in the system and watch everything lift each other up with it. It's really, really going to be cool.
I want to address a few more of these if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, you got some questions in there?
Yeah, well, one of these things here is Dusty Frets. Hey, thank you so much, brother. I love that the Jeets pump our bags. Actually, that's exactly what this is doing. I saw a guy in 3 clips within like 30 seconds of each other dump $35,000 worth of gift today, and the chart didn't even get affected. Like in 3 clips, like back to back transactions. So it's not just an illiquid coin out there with no support from the community. So it didn't hurt the chart very much, just the cells themselves, but our community saw that there was that arbitrage opportunity and realized real quick, oh, we got to eat that up if we want cheaper gift than what it's going to be in the future.
Yep. Oh, we got another Mexican jumping in the back here. Let me bring him up. Hey, what's up, Paul?
What's going on, brothers?
How you doing?
How you doing, brother?
All right, how are y'all? Excited
Better
for this
now that
fucking
you're
launch.
here.
Yeah, hell yeah. Now, Randy's saying, how much do I need to pulse for the for my maths, and hopefully somebody can produce us a site. If you ever seen lookintomaxi.com from Hexgita, that'd be an awesome site for all these derivative plays here.
What is it again?
Lookintomaxi.com.
If the community wants to beat us to this, we're okay with it, but it's definitely on the internal roadmap of no expectations. So it is something we would like to show everybody, the stats, recording everything that has to do with these ecosystems. It's just we've been so busy that's just one of those things that just had to go on the back burner, unfortunately, at this point in time.
Well, also we all kind of had the paradigm that we wanted people to learn. We wanted people to like learn how to use exit liquidity through LP to get out. We wanted people to not be led by the nose on all this and really get to the underlying things. That's why we were talking with Pulsar in the beginning and GIF, stealth launch GIF, right? And because like our focus was on what we were originally talking about. But if you understood what was happening right now, if you want to understand what's going on with GIF and PGIF, you can read the Pulsar.win white paper. And but it's a lot more complex. So the easier, simple solution is just to understand the components that's happening right now.
Not to sidetrack too much, but I just updated my crypto laptop, and when I opened up Rabby, the latest version says supported free gas for 14 new chains, including Pulse. So, does anybody elaborate? Know what that means?
I have not seen it.
It's a pop up there. It's just listed.
I had a whole bunch of stuck transactions in Rabby, so I ended up getting off it. I loved the front end. I loved what it did, but I had some problems with it that I was like, I'm just going to go back to MetaMask for a while.
I doubt you're the average user, so I believe that.
How did you get stuck transactions, man?
Oh, not only I got stuck, I overwrote the announce and I actually could keep sending. Like Gifford's just like, I don't know if I should be impressed or terrified that you somehow did that. I'm like,
Yikes. Yeah, I'm not a dev, so I'm not gonna go typing around and coding on things.
But like I said, I don't know how I did it. I just have a tendency to break things. That's why I'm getting make stuff, break stuff.
That's perfect. I love it.
Nice.
So since we're on the subject of infinite up, you know what would be interesting is if we started seeing a lot of the so you guys go through PETIS, right? And are you using that to burn because of the way the routings are going to go? Is that how you're doing that? Okay.
Yeah. We've talked about this on a couple other streams, but for those who haven't been there or haven't seen those yet, I'll reiterate that right now, that the reason why we chose to do that, and I should really give the credit to GIF. He said, if we're going to do something new, let's just not do it with the tokenomics, but let's do it with how the actual contracts work as well. Yeah. So rather than being bottlenecked into one particular pairing and trying to route all pairings through that one pairing, like we saw on Ethereum with, there's no point in saying it, but rather than going through the bottleneck, why not make it run through a DEX aggregator that goes through all the pools so it gets the best order execution for the buy and burn? It doesn't just push one pool up, it pushes all the pools up at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, I think aggregators are absolutely vitally important when it does come to doing any kind of swapping or anything in crypto, right? And so if you were to add that on, like every single aggregator we ever have here on PulseChain have some kind of like buy and burn type of deal, right? Or to work with projects that do buy and burns, right? What would be fascinating is if we start coming out with a whole bunch of different projects that now are going to be buying and burning like PulseX, Hex, Pulse, especially Pulse, because then it goes really up. However, you could also run into the problem of having too expensive of gas fees. But then again, ETH has already kind of beat us to it, right? So they're going to end up dropping their fees eventually, and then we can just grab it and be good to go. But I kind of see a world where there's a lot of projects, kind of. I want to say, go ahead and make it like a bigger version of what it is you're creating here with GIF, right? And just imagine kind of like in the city of PulseChain, right? You've got a huge number of different projects all together that are all buying and burning, looping each other, right? And then from there, they're going to be buying up Pulse, PulseX, and Hex, you know, the main cores. And these are going to be literal like whale buyers that are just nonstop buying. It's going to get to a point, right, where you never, ever, ever want to be selling these tokens. And instead you're just going to want to like maybe put them into something to yield on, right? Because it is a literal forever up and it literally cannot drop. Now, I guess you could say the problem with that would be like getting new people on. When something gets too expensive, people aren't going to be, you know, onboarding, right? However, that's where the idea of continually coming out with new like yield projects or new tokens to be able to continue using through all these like projects, right, that have been built.
Yeah.
And then that right there is the activity. And so from those, you can then start having those people buy into those forever ups as well. Yeah.
So there will be other tokens out there. We've already promised Randy Hilarski that we'll do it with the Nope token. It's got to take a back seat. Yeah, nope. It's gonna take a back seat right now to the two other things that, well, I don't want to say two other things because it's more complex than that. But without going into the details, there's some other things that we need to get done first. Pulsar being probably the biggest one. I think it's time to bridge these communities. It's the code's done. I'm going to say done. It's just a matter of if there's any small tweaks while watching that market, if it's something that we need to adjust, just some ratios and some different numbers before deployment, just to see what things are doing. It's if there's something we can come up with in the economics portion of figuring all that out that can help the project out long term, that's ideally what we want to do. We don't want to paint ourselves into a corner because I think that could be huge. And bridging two L1s together and bridging liquidity automatically is nope. It doesn't take a backseat. Probably the wrong verbiage to use. I apologize, Randy. Disclaimer: I really like Nope, so I'm a big fan of Nope. But we can apply this to other things. And so someone asked earlier in the chat, and I think that kind of dovetails well into this, is can you run other things through this iBurn? Well, we can run it through the gift tech protocols, and we have to build it specially for each thing. So we can do this for other tokens. Currently on iBurn, only iCOSA and PICOSA can be run through there. That's not upgradable. It is permanently on the blockchain forever with only those two tokens able to mint iBurn. But we can apply this to other tokens in the future, and we probably will. Let's just put it that way. It's probably going to happen. We're probably going to try to pick the right tokens to that ancillary. The ancillary effect is that they are a net benefit to the RH ecosystem and the RH specific core coins.
Absolutely. You know, and so like if it's the economic power of like say meme coins, right? And people are continually throwing money at meme coins, that's causing a lot of like going back to the whole thing of, you know, having multiple projects, right? And then also that are using the aggregators to be able to buy and burn the main ones. Then you get the ones that are derivatives, kind of like, you know, iCOSA and Hedron and, you know, fill in the blank of any other ones, right? Then it becomes really nice because not only do you have in the city of PulseChain, not only do you have like your main buildings that, you know, were there from the very beginning, right? And, you know, your banks and your political buildings, things like that. But then you've got the ones that kind of keep it running, all going up higher, right? Imagine you just keep adding more floors, right? And so then as they are continuing to go up as well, it's a giant web, you know. And then if you pair bond all these as well, right? Or liquidity bond, my bad. If you liquidity bond all of these, then as one goes, you're compounding the X's that are going up. And so then as they're buying and burn, like buy and burn on Pulse is bonded with PulseX. So now that one's been bonded or has been bought there, Now you've got PulseX also going up with that. It's literally, this is very possible. And I'd say for this year, we should focus on something like that, because this is something that could easily be done. And I want to talk about this a little bit during the PulseChain conference, but I got you guys here right now, and you're kind of experimenting with this right now. And I'm absolutely just soaking it in. And I love it.
Well, I think,
go ahead again.
I was just going to say, I think you're right with the liquidity bonding with a bunch of different pairs. You see other projects already doing this. You see the Atropa ecosystems. You see the PTGC. You see these guys already creating these webs. As far as the gift tech, anything that we're deploying, it's really going to be up to all you users. So if you guys have other coins that you really, if you have some GIF or PGIF, or you're interested in getting some and you want to pair it against other coins that you're interested in receiving and in fees and in liquidity pools, by all means, guys, we highly recommend. I wouldn't say recommend, but we are more
highly
than encourage you guys to go ahead and do that. Yes. I'm not going to recommend anything because I'm not your personal financial advisor. I don't know anything about your risk tolerance. I don't know anything about your any of your finances. So that is completely up to you guys if you feel it's in your best interest. But I think that could be a net benefit to the ecosystem as a whole. And then this guy that you guys might be aware of, I don't know if you guys know this Will Stevenson guy, but the DGen Roundtable, very familiar with him. Would it be cool if other people figured out your guys' system and they copied it? Like, would the ecosystem be a better place? Potentially. It's one of those things, like, we don't want people to steal our tech, but the blockchain is permissionless, and I don't know if there's anything we could do to stop it. And if they did it right and they cherry picked the right tokens to do it with, it could be a net benefit to the ecosystem. There's some that we've left alone that we probably won't ever do anything with in particular certain tokens, because there may be some negative effects that come with it depending on how it's utilized. If they do it right, if they try to get too fancy with it, it could actually create the leaky boat that Kool-Aid and GIF are always talking about. So hopefully there's a lot of thought put into it before they do, if anyone ever does. And I'm not really worried about someone taking the tech and running with it themselves. Fortunately, first mover advantage usually ends up being the more profitable projects to be in with the team that launches these things. So it's not out of a jealousy thing that I don't want them to. I just don't want them to, because I'm afraid if it's not thought out and they well enough and they get too fancy, it may not be a net benefit to the chain as a whole.
Yeah.
Well, there's
thank you, Hex Hodl, for the 5 gifted Discord Syndicate memberships. We appreciate you and your support. Also, I got something to add to what Connect said, and that's a nana boo boo, stick your head in doo doo. We were first.
It's not just that. Like, to dovetail what Nate was saying before, it's so much more powerful than just an index to do a spatial web in between perma tokens. So that inherently of itself, if people try to run off with what the GIF has made, they're not going to be able to be in parity with the perma tokens, nor will they be in the upgrades and all the other things that we're doing, because we haven't started building. We're still running the simulations on so much more that we want to do. But the index of those things that work within the spatial web, which is another tier above an index, because they're all interconnected, as Nate was just talking about before, and Bravos are like well thought out and well said. That has so much more dynamism, borrowing, combining, and pairing to each other, because all of them have the same economic wherewithal of the buy and burn and the upgrade ability to what we have already planned for our other scopes of building, right? GIF and I love to build complex systems and love to do this, what we do. And yes, there is a very, very large benefit for those that happen. And also, remember, the GIF is the one that chooses what gets built on his technology. And because we want to have no leaky boat across the floor, and to make sure that everything that we are doing is copacetic to the idioms and ideals that we have. Like, we have pillars as a group of people and company, if you will, that we want to maintain. Those pillars are important to us across the board. So by applying the things, we want to make sure that our pillars are adhered to, beyond just making it a use case that anyone can just use. Anyone can, theoretically, but we want to make sure that we're focused on how do we deploy and what's the deployment to and from.
I know.
You know,
Thanks again, Next Huddle. He's gifted us like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 or 30 Discord signals. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Man's on a roll tonight.
We SJ, see if we can figure out how do we give those away, because I don't even know how to give them away. So yeah, thanks. Appreciate you, Hex.
I think we're witnessing
Doesn't automatically.
Uniswap moment. That Uniswap moment in 2019, the DeFi moment.
Mhm. No, it's exactly right.
what
If you
this
think
is,
about
yeah.
before then, 2017, we had Ether Delta and like all the rest of that nonsense from way back in the day, and we've grown so much, but not many people have innovated that much more than that. They've kind of gotten stuck in a rudder, and that's why we try to deconstruct everything and then use the components that we understood to rebuild the idioms and ideals that we're trying to build and take forward to the next stages and next rungs that we're running these simulations in.
I thought you were going to say CryptoKitties from 2017. I'm sorry.
Oh, God, that was crazy.
You guys aren't still hatching those things?
Those.
I mean, I still have my 4 BitConnect coins, so I keep all of my my graveyards to remind me not to do stupid shit.
I have thousands of those things, but we won't talk about that on here.
I got my shrimp still. Thanks, Coffee. Appreciate that.
So
Okay,
I know one of the things that I'm going to double tap Will's question here real quick. So when it comes, one of the things the guys are probably going to talk to you about a lot, and they're very proud of it, is that this is not forked code. This is handcrafted and handmade to build the pillars that they talk about and the motivations they talk about. So the question is, could anyone theoretically fork this to their own tokens? Yeah, you could, but at the same time, you're not going to have the same conditions that these tokens have launched in. So first off, the GIF token, it had the fair stealth launch, as I'm calling it, where GIF kind of launched it in the middle of the night, didn't tell anybody, and then instead of doing some sort of sacrifice or some sort of a promotional round or a seed round with investors, it was just put in a liquidity pool, and it was kind of first come, first serve. That doesn't really serve the interests of some people that are trying to launch a token with their own self-interest. So if you're unwilling to do that, you can't really expect the same results, even if you just copy the code over.
And the code's technically proprietary, and you wouldn't have the understanding to actually build it yourself for the stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. If you're going to be copying something, you're going to be stuck at the genesis of what we started, not what we're finishing.
Yeah, these are not copy pasta. The PGIF and the iBurn code are not copy pasta. They are custom tailored to each specific tokenomic behind the token that they're being built on. So it's not just a copy pasta. This and to Kool-Aid's credit here, he's 100% correct. They're not using Anvil as a UI. No shade on the people that decide to use that for the UI, but we like beautiful things that are custom crafted with real art, and we've got the guys to make that happen, so we use them for that. It's not ISO standard Open Zeppelin code. This is, I mean, you might take a line from an Open Zeppelin code, but the way the rest of this works is all custom crafted around, like I said, each individual token and the tokenomics behind that token that it's being built on.
That's
just,
what
I think that's
I've-
vitally important.
That's
Right,
what I've
it's not
liked
just
most
the-
about working with this team. I just want to add something real quick. Is the integrity, and especially GIF and what he's been doing, because like I said, I'm not privy to most of the stuff they're doing, but some of the things that I've seen him accomplish, like I watched him, literally suplex 2 freaking devs who didn't want to clean up the code as clean as he wanted, and he wanted it spotless, and they were like, "No, it doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt anything." He flipped them over, slammed them on the ground, said, "No, you guys are going to clean this thing up the way I want it." And I really like the way he goes about things. And then of course we've gone through a lot of different people and things and whatnot. And GIF ended up doing almost all of this work on his own, and just amazing to watch him work with the integrity that he has and what he's done with it. So I'm proud to see what he's done, man. I'm really am.
Well, that was the interesting thing about like, good.
Yeah. So real quick, this is just kind of a shout out to not only you guys, but like what it is you're doing, right? So I need people to pay attention to this. Okay. So what they are building right now is they are building a proof of concept in which is going to be able to make that forever up token of Pulse, right? And Pulse X and Hex and the rest of them, right? They're doing a proof of concept with that currently. And so you guys want to absolutely be supporting them. But the other thing too is imagine that narrative. Okay. Oh, we're not just another L1. We're an L1 that has bots buying up our own coins. These are forever buyers that are always. So if you get into our tokens, if you bridge over here and start using, just playing around with the freaking memes, you just having a few of Pulse, right, automatically are going to have a forever up token. People would come in droves if that was a reality. And over the course of, like, say, this year, that can become a reality. What happens if we have a forever up coin in a bear market when everyone's like, oh no, everything's down? Oh, except for this one, like it went down a little bit, but it seems to be like holding steady really well. How does that happen? You have no idea, guys. This narrative, like how important this would be. Like you'd have crypto banter, you'd have people. Jesus, you could probably get people like in the traditional markets looking at us going, what on earth is happening over here?
You want a little bit of FOMO? Kinetics the other night, didn't you say this works best not on an inflation system, on something with a capped supply?
It works best. It has a bigger impact on something with a fixed supply versus something. Go ahead.
I was going to say, don't we have a meme stable coin that could really benefit and everybody thinks it's going to stop at $1?
Might not be the fit for it, but
I should probably. I think discretion is the better part of valor on this one. So, but that is a really neat idea, Paul, that you've proposed to the community at this moment.
I agree with Alan. We get to $1 on that. Can we get a nipple?
I will probably give you 2. I will probably give you 2. Yeah.
Well,
and I will drive all the way. I will drive all the way to California to do it on Captain RG3's set. Yes.
Last time we did that, the memes were horrible. Horrible.
Yes. And I laughed for days.
It's not a coffin this time, though.
My kids couldn't go to school the next day. It was so bad.
It was sad. It was sad.
So here's the interesting thing. If you want to take all the pillars out of it, Gift Tech is proof of Pulse. You should be looking at it in Pulse terms and how it ratchets up in the amount of Pulse. Now, if you understand that, Nate and Zenith will get this pretty quick, that let's just say Pulse is going down. Well, the economic, let's say Pulse is down 20%. All right, you put 5 of that in there. Now you're at net 0. You put 10 in there. Now you're 2x Pulse going down because the economic energy of that buy and burn reflexively loops back other. And it doesn't matter what the cost of Pulse is because everything's going down per chain, but the amount of economic energy of that Pulse equals 1 if you get 5, 20%, 2x if you get 10. So since you're putting so much economic energy of the chain in something that is proof of Pulse, it's going to be really exciting to see the simulation in a bear. But it
pushes the crypto value up no matter, just like Hex always pushes its crypto value up when you stake it. Like you put Hex in, you're always going to get more Hex no matter what. Now you don't know what the price of that Hex will be, but it's creating a loop of crypto where it's always creating more crypto.
And then go ahead. No, I'm just saying within this, it's the economic energy at Pulse because it's proof of Pulse, right? Economic energy at Pulse wraps around economic energy of what you do with a cost of iBurn, pushes the economic energy back of Pulse back into PGIF. It's the loopability of binding on to Pulse, which is proof of Pulse.
Now that's just juvenile, Paul.
That's just juvenile. I did want to address this Falcon Crypto. Yes, I absolutely 100% agree, and I don't think there's any reason to shy away from this. Is this or will this be audited? One of the advantages of using the Open Zeppelin code is that those components have been audited. So Pulsar will be audited. That is a very complex machine. That is definitely something that will be audited. As far as the gift tech permable tokenomics that we've created with GIF and PGIF and now iBurn, those will probably not be audited. When the captain was talking about slam dunking devs, GIF slam dunking devs, that's with working with other devs to double check, triple check the code just to make sure it does exactly what he thinks it's going to do. Confirming that with them, he is a very, very gifted man. So no, they're pretty much already audited. It's just not worth paying the price of an auditor for these things that he concocted, and then he has to explain them, just like Richard Hart talked about when he was getting his stuff audited, especially Hex. You spend more time explaining and catching up the other dev that's auditing your code to understand what's really going on here before you can actually get anything done. And then they usually just do kind of a scan over it just to make sure, it's written right in the code. There are more expensive, more in-depth, but that was unnecessary for this. So it has been double and triple checked. So it essentially has been audited. It's just not an audit we're going to be publishing.
So appropriate, so good.
Want us to permable 9-inch? No diddy. All right, yeah.
Dude, the amount of iBurn jokes that have been flying through is so hilarious.
Yeah.
iBurn when I walk outside in the sun.
Well, staring at the screen for as many hours as he has, it's made gifts iBurn. That's for sure. So.
Speaking of which, where's the man?
Hey, cool. Wait, you are muted, bro.
He's busy.
No, I guess I'm muted. I was trying to behave. No, like when you actually do dev work for like our game dev stuff for like 18, 20, 24 hours, your eyes get scored. You definitely burn your eyes through it. And by the way, when you go to hell, it's you burn, not I burn.
I'm going to remove myself from the stream temporarily. I'll be back when things get back to a reasonable adult level.
More heavenly.
I need SJ. I need one of those intermission slots where it plays the little
We'll be right back.
the lobby.
We just
music.
need Homer fading in the bushes.
I had to reset my audio interface when Zenith is over here, so I don't have any of my fun buttons anymore.
Little known fact: orgasms cure headaches. I think I knew that. I feel like orgasms cure everything.
Not that one, SJ. Not that one.
And we lost our nipple.
Okay. Oh, we've got another Hexican jumping in. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Farmer J joining us. How you doing?
Farmer.
Hey, how you doing, Captain RG3? I believe this is Captain RG3.
Whoa.
Farmer, I think
got a
you're
little-
fine, bud.
There you go. I shut off the other. That should work.
You know how many times, especially at the beginning of the FN Hangout in the first year, people would come on with the YouTube channel still playing, and it just having their audio echo into their mic. It's happened numerous times.
Yeah.
Well, good to know I'm not the only one.
What happened to Paul? Did Paul pull himself down, or somebody pull Paul down?
I think SJ
There you
did. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
Nah, SJ pulled me down.
Well, good to have you, Farmer. You look
Yeah,
like
you
you're a
guys
man
do.
that puts his boots on in the dark and takes them off in the dark. I see the electric. That's electrician's hard hat behind you?
That's not a no Diddy joke. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that is an IBW bug.
Yeah, it is. Look at that. Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Yep. Well, I see it all the time. Used to see it all the time. It's burned into my memory.
Oh, look at RH Max. He doesn't have a tiny URL for Learn Permable.
This
He is
guy.
playing with that stuff. The Max is the man. We only got through like a third or maybe 2/3 of like the real meat and potatoes on a 2-hour stream. And it's always funny because like there's just so much under the hood that we never get to.
Mm-hmm.
You got your list there of all the questions. You want to answer anything?
Yeah.
Without going into the weeds off in fucking La La Land before you lose us all.
Well, I mean, that's also not my problem. That's why I bring people that can explain Larry simply.
Yeah, we don't have Gifford to translate. Kinetics, how well you do it.
He is best at that. Like that's the one thing about GIF is like even before when he was starting to learn Python, he was like automatically one of the best game designers I've ever like paired with. And I'm like, man, when you actually get done learning to code, you're gonna be dangerous. And his way of parsing and phrasing systemic design is bloody beautiful. So yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Do we have any additional questions? I'm just curious, either from the panel or from the chat. And maybe I missed some. I did have to skip through a couple. Just kind of jumped on me. But
I've got
I
a
am
technical
curious.
question for our devs. So when we were with GIF and PGIF, we started off with cap supply, and then obviously we have the creation and inflation of PGIF out of that cap supply. So now that you guys are transferring and upgrading iBurn to operate on an uncapped supply technically, do you anticipate any differences or nuance in this one compared to the other one, or pretty much the same stuff?
Well, no,
He said devs. Let me get this one, guys.
Right, RG3 is a dev.
I just had to say that. It just felt so good when he said that. But anyway,
Franklin, if you mean the captain, yes, he is learning Solidity. GIF, however, is very proficient already. So
he's already proficient. I'm learning. I'm learning.
Yeah,
I'm actually going in and using the. I've actually interacted with contracts, guys. Literally interacted with contracts. It is freaking awesome. I was looking at them today. We were looking for deployment contracts and things, and the fake ones that were out there, and trying to warn everybody, hey, stay away from that stuff. You don't want to mess with it until we officially launch it.
An hour and a half in, it's probably a good point to reiterate that, guys. Until official contracts are released and published, please do not mess with any of these tokens that you see on the Block Explorer or in Liquidity or any of that. I see some crazy, ridiculous numbers on a particular pair that's already exists. So you guys be very, very careful with that.
Yeah,
I'm watching that one right now.
It looks like Axis Alive the redo. So it looks like someone threw that thing out there and people are buying into it like crazy. So you guys be careful. Do not fall for fake Telegram groups. The devs will never contact you unless they already know you personally and have your phone number, Larry. And
these are facts.
And leave the iCOSA chat alone. They know nothing about. I mean, they may be aware of it and they may know a little bit of something. They may have looked at the flow chart, but I don't think they're liking all the questions going into the iCOSA chat. So
yeah,
no.
And let's answer Zena's question now, guys. I didn't mean to interrupt and get.
Yeah, sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, so
about the worried about the cap on GIF versus there's no cap on iCOSA.
No. Hold on. There's 3 different tiers on the particular air quote loops that you want to do. So if you have GIF and PGIF, there can only be theoretically 1 billion ever of both combined. However, with the permeable tokenomics, that gets always hyper deflationary. So with that particular loop set and that arbitrage machine that's already cooked into there, icosahedron already didn't have the bootstrap from Alice's stuff for staking. It needed a kick flywheel to work. But we can already see that the activity between all the rest of that means that we're trying to not only create parity between both chains, but also make icosa deflationary. However, remember how our icosa is made, right? So you have to get your 15-year stake. Hold on, cat's going crazy. And then run that particular loop inherently of itself. So there are multiple different mechanics that we're sussing out in real time based on what happens, but there really isn't that much icosa around right now. Like if people are trying to buy it, there's not a lot for sale. And if people have it, they're holding on to it near and dear.
So
now,
let's just put it this way. Both eICOSA and PICOSA combined is less supply than what there was with GIF at its inception. So there's already a lesser supply with this than there was with GIF and definitely PGIF, because PGIF can never have more than what GIF was, and much of it's already gone because of the buy and burn function. that's just something to throw out there. And there is a very low emission inflation model for iCOSA, and a lot of things need to happen, like the auctions going back online with the right ratios between iCOSA and Hex for that.
Because there is something that can create more iCOSA, and let's maybe talk about that.
If I'm not mistaken, the iCOSA stuff, they had their yield already drop off. So even if there is iCOSA through that method, it's nowhere near what it used to be, right?
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't know that it's a very low emission token, very, very low inflation model. But the reason it looked like it was a hyperinflating token at the beginning is because Alex did bootstrap it with a bunch of tokens at the very beginning to incentivize people to interact with his contracts. So that bootstrap has long since gone, and that's why part of the reason why the auctions have died down.
Cap, to get
price
to your
doesn't
point,
help
this is
either.
Cap, to get to your point, this is a question that I fielded earlier today. Someone asked me what I think about the iCOSA Hedron system, and I said it looks like a very well built and complex system that incentivizes people to use Hex in new and different ways. Am I personally invested in iCOSA and Hedron? No, not really. However, I am interested in Hex and Hex price performance, and also the existence of PulseChain, and I want these things to stick around and last the test of time. iBurn as a contract is just one more incentive method to kind of kickstart these systems that are already in place and add more value to those things that I already like. So do I need to hold a bunch of these tokens themselves? No, but I already have a vested interest in these projects succeeding based on everything else I already am in and the other things that I care about.
Reflexively, guess what kickstarts T-share staking? The auction house.
Yep.
From iCOSA and Hedron.
Yep.
Exactly.
And that's part of the reason this particular token was chosen. We are all huge fans on the team of the Hedron iCOSA ecosystem. Shout out to Alex, who we like to adamantly call the white whale. You are an absolute G. We love you to death. Love everything you've done. And we wanted to be a net benefit to his system. We don't know when V2 is ever going to be released. He's not as much said a timeline that he expects that. We wanted to help the first ERC, PRC pegging. We wanted to help the price of eICOSA and PICOSA so that it did start spurning the auctions so that more people could start staking in HSIs for 5555 and make that T-share rate drastically go up, which is a net benefit to all three systems. So we very much had this particular token in mind for this.
I'd just like to make a mention about this. Thank you, Crypto Silas, and welcome. Good to have you all the way from over there in I won't dox where you're at, but would be interesting to see if Watts has gained demand on a secondary market. I saw a whole bunch of Wattses get nuked today for iCOSA. So people are doing some stuff out there. So it's helping push the value of the Wattses up and getting iCOSA. It looks like it's sidelining, getting ready to come into the system.
Those who nuked their Wattses, thank you for your service.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's almost time for the PulseChain conference, our little thing that we're going to be doing here. So
yeah, guys, I'm going to have to be going with Nate. Yep, I think I'm going to be heading over with these guys, and I'll leave everything running. And if you guys are still partying when I come back, I'll see you guys then.
Right on. See you later, guys.
Get you guys over to the PulseChain conference.
Peace out, boys.
I'm going to hang out for a little bit if anybody has any questions. And then there was 4.
Just a quick question. So for those that aren't too familiar with iBurn, it essentially kind of works like the GIF project, right?
Yep.
You mint it, and once it's minted, the iCOSA that you used to mint is forever burners in a dead address, right?
It's sent to the dead address, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But the buy and burn, the 85% of the pulse that is collected through the minting function of iBurn 85% of that goes to buy and burn, iBurn, or yeah, buy and burn, iBurn. There's a lot of burns in there. And that is not sent to the dead address. That is literally deleted. It is no longer exists, not in a dead address, not in an extra address. It is 100% gone forever.
Good to know. Good to know about that. Yeah, so I think that's the confusion most people, because I don't think like with the amount of projects going on right now, it's kind of hard to keep track of everything, you know. Like I do think that you two have some of the better projects that are launching at the moment, though. So
hey, thanks,
I'm
man.
actually keeping my eye on this one more than anyone.
I like to hear that. I like to hear that. So piggybacking off of that, yes, Mo, GIF is to iCOSA as PGIF is to iBurn. That is correct and close-ish, all at the same time.
100. And the interesting thing about sending something to a dead address is very much akin to how somebody holds a lot of the tokens in the OA, and that's actually not liquid supply. Whereas when you're actually deleting the supply, it's a very interesting rubber band to see how something with such low market cap can move so quickly. It actually plays the market cap game in the opposite direction, which technically is a really fascinating simulation.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I've been trying to poke holes in the whole iBurn system for the past week. I can't figure it out. I can't find one.
Well,
I'm actually more concerned with that than I am hopeful FOMO on it, because it's like, do you want to hold it through the top of the bowl? Like, no, but yes.
It's very, very interesting, because now you're playing two perma tokens against each other, right? And that's what Nate was talking about, which is very interesting, taking something besides an index into a spatial web of perma assets. It's very, very, very interesting, because then what could you do combined with all the rest of that? Who knows? But it is quite a perplexed system that if you combine on top of it, it really doesn't have to be that complex. You hold a perma asset 95 or 85 or 90% between these two, between PermaGIF and iBurn. All the economic energy used to create will remove it from the system. That's it. Like, that's as simple as you need.
So when we get to this 80-90% of the token supply burned, does that just level off the price where, yeah, it's not as energetic to the upside, but nor is it energetic to the downside?
Well, it's going to take, if you don't mind me, Kool-Aid, I'm going to jump in on this one.
Go ahead, sir.
It's going to take quite a bit of price appreciation for that protocol fee to not affect the price. At some point, yes, there is a diminishing return on that buy and burn as the price goes so high that we just don't have enough pulse, regardless of how much is run through the protocol for that buy and burn. That is where the system doesn't come to a grinding halt. It just is it's a slower, it's a lesser effect to the price appreciation of the token. But there's still always that arbitrage between the two that on both sides. And a lot of people have gotten their heads around the fact that you can arbitrage the permabull token to get more of the underlying asset, but more people need to wrap their head around when they're out of sync and the permabull token is lesser than the ceiling price, that the underlying asset can be used to buy the permabull token with less economic energy than running it through the protocol to mint. So there's an arbitrage both ways. Some people are failing to see that part. So there's always some mechanism to help price appreciation. What it's going to do, I don't know. No forward-looking price statements. I have no clue. It really just comes down to how many people want to participate and how long are people going to wait till they take profits.
Yeah, we got two ways this gets solved. One, you got pooling of people's funds together to help to complete the arbitrage, whether you do that off of somebody individually or a smart contract. And two, it just moves up the classes. So instead of shrimps being able to execute it, you then go to move your way up to dolphins, sharks, and hopefully whales. But yeah, the only ones feasible with enough pulse to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But I mean, we're okay with a bunch of microtransactions, if that's what you want to call them, which would be huge moves now, but maybe considered microtransactions in the future.
Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it goes from. You could mint 50 Bitcoin blocks on 2 video cards versus now dealing with Satoshis. That's just an inherent reflexive nature of the power of economic energy you're putting into a system to do any particular thing it's trying to do. So yes, you are correct on that. But when you have multiple ARB-based perma systems, there's always economic energy between each other. Just like to mine Bitcoin, you have to go into a mining pool, right? Because there's not enough economic energy there. But the perma tokens have that economic energy baked into their system.
Oh crap.
Uh-oh.
I'm just looking into things. Yeah, Falcon Crypto, it is possible that the UI isn't put up tonight, but the code, the functioning code will be. We're just waiting on that block explorer. This is it's frustrating to deal with. I wish we had an ether scan over here.
If you've been here since the start of PulseChain, if you don't have all 4 different block explorers saved in bookmarks and have to use those weekly, different ones, just to get something to read right, I don't know what you're doing, because I continually cycle through them all.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nightmare. It's kind of a nightmare.
Double negative, I actually want to address this. I'm glad you asked this. Thank you so much. There is some portion of the holders of the iOSA tokens that will not migrate. I guarantee that. There's some people are going to look at Hex and Hedron Classic versus, or I'm sorry, Hedron and iOSA Classic versus the new version of Hedron iOSA. There will be some percentage. I don't know all the details. Alex has released a little bit, but it looks like there could still be an opportunity for people to, or if they miss the boat and they don't do the migration. In the meantime, appreciate the price appreciation in both tokens while you guys wait. Those who missed the boat in that claim period, there was discussed at one point a claim period. You had so long to migrate these tokens over to the new contracts that he is going to release. If you don't do that, you're forever left with the old one. Well, this system will continue to work forever with those that are still left behind.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point.
So when it migrates to V2, right, that supply, the initial V1 supply of iOSA that was burned, is never going to be used to be able to claim V2, right? So that, like you said, that's completely gone. So it still takes out V2 supply. It takes that forever out, because that V1 that was burned is never claimable. It can never be claimed for V2. So therefore that supply is still always going to be gone, correct?
Yep, that is correct. 100%. So we've automatically reduced the supply of V2.
Yeah, it's a beneficial type system. That, I mean, that's why we chose Akasahedron to do our second strike on things. We respect Alex more than most. I mean, that's how Giff and I got to know each other, is discussing Akasahedron, since there wasn't many people that really understood under the hood what was going on. And that's where Graphics, Sloth, RH Max, myself, Giff, really got to become good friends. Like, we love complex reflective systems. And there's no better one that we could think of to work with to create the multiple different substrates that we're trying to work on and use case all at the same time. Then I built thematically on a T-share, which is the most important thing that all of us had to. That's why Alex came and did what he did.
V1 will always exist, iOSA, and just not purely just because of the LP paired with it, but because of the Watson contracts. Unless the Watson contracts get turned in and get destroyed on the first NFTs, those will always get turned in for V1 iOSA. So,
yep, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, I noticed that the Watts account seems to be dropping in preparation of of the launch of iBurn. That was kind of an exciting ancillary effect to watch in real time.
Fun game of weak hands. Love
Yes.
weak hands.
Yes, it's a great game of chicken.
Yeah.
Actually, I got to give Kool-Aid credit for that. He's the one that called it that. It's a game of chicken. Wattses are a game of chicken.
Well, I also said that if you went back in time, wrapped 30% of your company in Berkshire Hathaway, you could, let's just say, spend 40% on whatever you wanted instead of what I normally say privately. And you're always up and to the right because you're wrapping yourself in an asset that's binded to an asset that can only go up and to the right. So it's really bloody fascinating, to be honest. And I talked about how NFTs were a wrapper for a long time, and everyone looked me dead in the headlights for almost a year. And then when people saw what Alex did with the wrapped T-share, people finally clicked and they said, aha. Now, of course, I'm not a coder. I'm a designer and I'm an artist, so I can't do the other side of that coin flip. But I can see how the loops work, and it's bloody fascinating on everything that's come from there to the tokenomics model, or really systemic design model that we're trying to approach over here. It has the same hopeful fundamental importance, and that's what we're kind of doing with our pillars.
I'm gonna check on this real quick. Hex ESS. So how do we perform the GIF to PGIF and inject the pulse? Is there a UI to go to perform this function? It is permagif.win. Permagif.win. Bright Light, I'm going to go ahead and check that right now. So give me a second and I'll have an answer for you. It just takes forever for the icosahedron page to load.
One more time, since we've got some new people in here, you want to reiterate the reason for no rush on iBurn?
Oh yeah, I mean, everything's a flat ratio. It's the same thing with GIF and PGIF. For that, it's a 10 pulse ceiling. With iCOSA, it's the floor price of 1,500 for eICOSA or PICOSA. You don't have to rush. But once the ARB machine, excuse me, gets running in between both systems, it's going to be very interesting to watch in real time. And again, this is the whole principles, not promises, simulation, not speculation, all of those pillars that we were talking about before, that you don't have to Jeet, you don't have to rush. It's not an ICO, it's not a sacrifice. It's a completely different way to put your view frustrum on, or your FOV on, which is the field of view, game dev shit, how you're looking at these type of things. There's no real need. You can hold a perma asset, you can arb a perma asset, you can arb in between perma assets, or you can just hold the base asset itself. All of it works.
Yeah, as long as you already have your E or P iCOSA and the amount of pulse it's going to take to run through the protocol, there is no rush. The only rush is if you don't have P or E iCOSA, the price is going up rapidly in preparation for this launch. So that would be the only time that there would be a rush, is to get those things, not iBurn itself. The ratio is flat, stays the same forever. Just looked at this. There is 19,784 remaining Watsas on, which one did I do first? PulseChain. And there is 20,015 Watsas on Ethereum. So that actually surprises me. That's a difference of 231. I figured if people were going to be breaking their Watsas, it would be more on the Ethereum side, because the protocol is the same amount of iCOSA, regardless of whether it's P iCOSA or E iCOSA, and E iCOSA is the better deal right now. It's the lesser value that gets you the same dollar value asset, which is iBurn, as PCOSA running it through the protocol. So it seems to, and that's part of the reason why eICOSA is catching up to PICOSA right now, or I'd like to take credit for that, or Gift should take credit for that. But I just assume that more of those would be breaking than anything.
You know,
Might have to do with the gas fees. Just
it might have something to do. The gas fees have been really good on Ethereum lately, though.
There's a lot of small Watsas out there, though, where it just doesn't make sense to burn them. But if you're on PulseChain, costs you pennies, so why not?
Yeah, good point.
What was cool is RH Max did a poll, And GIF was in there, a couple other assets in there. And I think like 52% said they were going to hold their iCasa long term, which I thought was bloody fascinating and awesome, because the icosahedron people are some of the hardest Hexicans that there are, which, you know, top of the hat to them. And that's what we love. I mean, that's why we decided to do it. But yeah, I thought it was pretty dope when Max did that poll. And yeah, 51+% were like, I'm holding my iCosa. And I'm like, wow, that's really, really, really cool.
Yeah. So whether you participate or not, you're still getting the benefit.
Oh, sure. Well, even if they use the system to get more iCosa, the ARB machine is in play, which means that not only is the price going up, it's using it to make your asset deflationary. It's a use case to push your asset into a more higher proprietary or more prestige perspective.
Yep. The arbitrage opportunity between eICOSA and PICOSA right now is 15.4%. So eICOSA is 54.5% or 54.6% of the PICOSA price right now, guys. That a week ago it was literally half price. So the gap is closing.
Is clear up a little bit on the iBurn, PBurn? Are they both launching at the same time? Or is one launching in succession to the other?
It's all one token.
You'll be able to do a flywheel down on the front end and just pick which iCosa you're doing, native iCosa or wrapped eICOSA.
This protocol will allow you to use one or the other.
Right, on the iCosas, but once the iBurn to the PIBurn, is PIBurn launching the same time as iBurn?
No,
they're the same.
Right.
It's the bridged over eICOSA that is already on PulseChain. Mm-hmm. So the protocol is only on PulseChain, but you'll be able to use either one of the iCosas, the wrapped version or the one that's native to PulseChain. So there is no difference between the two. There's not like one launching on Ethereum and one on PulseChain. It's all the same.
So it's not like how we have GIF and PGIF when you have the one on like PGIF to GIF to PGIF. You have the 1 billion to 10 billion ratio. You don't have that with iBurn to PIBurn.
You mean Pulsar 1 billion to 1? Is that what you're talking about?
No, iCosa, and we're turning it in for iBurn, minting iBurn. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to be able to turn those in for to ratio PIBurn, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
That'll depend on the liquidity pool. So what I foresee on this is you're going to have an eICOSA to PICOSA liquidity pool. Then you're going to have an iBurn to PICOSA and an iBurn to eICOSA. And so they're going to work as a looped system within the liquidity pools. And I think you're going to see there's going to be an arbitrage opportunity. So let's say eICOSA right now, the best deal is if you're going to arbitrage down your iBurn, your best deal is going to go into eICOSA because of the price of eICOSA is cheaper than PICOSA. Let's say eICOSA goes above the price of PICOSA temporarily. Someone's going to see that it takes more economic energy to create this iBurn asset. So they're going to go ahead and arbitrage through the other pool and arbitrage it down into PICOSA. So there's going to be one more pool necessary versus what there was with GIF and PGIF.
Okay, I follow you now. Because, still, even with GIF and PGIF, there's still 3 tokens basically because you still have Pulse as your third. To turn in for it, and so this is still a three token system.
So technically there'll be 4 liquidity pools that way. Yeah, there'll be 4 because there'll be an an iBurn Pulse pool as well. So there'll be 4 different pools so there'll be actually more arbitrage opportunity than there even was with GIF and PGIF.
Cool, makes me happy.
Yeah. So can you explain again how the arbitrage worked with GIF and PGIF or how it would work with iCosa and iBurn? Like I just said, there's going to be more opportunities with iBurn and iCosa, but how it's currently working with GIF and PGIF is what you're typically seeing is people are selling down PGIF when it goes over that GIF plus 10. So the protocol fee is 10 Pulse to turn 1 GIF into a perma GIF. PGIF. So you've got a 10 pulse differential, a 10 pulse spread, which we call the ceiling. When it goes above that 10 pulse, so when PGIF is 15 versus 10 pulse greater than GIF, then there's an arbitrage opportunity to sell that down to the 10, the ceiling, the 10 pulse differential. Take that pulse that you've earned from selling it, buy back all of your GIF, and still have more pulse left over than you ran through the transaction, plus a little extra. So your people are actually stacking pulse, being able to do that. That's how you arb the ceiling down to the ceiling price. Now, when PGIF is below the ceiling price, the best option for you is to use the GIF PGIF pool and use your GIF to purchase more PGIF, because it costs less than running one GIF plus 1 or plus 10 PLS through the protocol to mint a PGIF. So you're actually getting more PGIF for less economic energy just using GIF directly. So there's an arbitrage on both sides. You're going to see a lot of that with iBurn and iCOSA. They're going to see the arbitrage opportunity into whichever of the iCOSAs is cheapest at the time to get more iCOSA than what it costs you to burn or to mint the iBurn. You're also going to see the arbitrage opportunity both ways. I guess there's going to be 5 pools. I didn't even think about that. Because you're going to, well, no, it'd still be the same. You can arb between eICOSA and PICOSA. You can arb between eICOSA and iBurn, and you can arb between PICOSA and iBurn.
And let's not forget, whenever you
technically, no, you will have 5. You got your ehedron and your phedron.
Well, there's that itself too. Yeah, because once you start the icosahedron flywheel, you have all the
once that kicks in again.
I mean, that was one of the major goals, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about, besides making the parity on 2 chains, besides jumpstarting something we love and care deeply about, we're running these pretty different simulations. Again, bringing the Ethereum wrapped asset over is kind of our testing ground for what we're doing with Pulsar, right? Which is even 2 more complex steps forward. So everything had a purpose in the way that we're deploying the things and to run the simulations that we'd like to see the back testing data points.
What was it? M points or B points? M points, I think, is how many points your Wattses are worth.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I got a question for you off stream.
Yeah, your best bet on this particular one, I'll just give you a 30,000 foot view, but there's some great material made by Crypto Hexplained and RH Max early on in the ecosystem, and Crypto Sloth early on in the icosahedron ecosystem, that they go over this in a lot more depth. But essentially what you're looking at is, as iCOSA goes above the ceiling price of selling your HSIs, your staked hex within an NFT, literally, then as that goes up, people are going to make HSIs using Hex, sell them to the protocol, to the auction, earn iCOSA, sell that iCOSA, and buy back more Hex than it costs them to create the HSI in the first place. So that's when the ceiling price of iCOSA goes, or when it goes above the ceiling price. So it's very similar to what we've done here. And we did that on purpose. It was by design. It was a great tokenomic, and we just said, let's take it to the next step. I agree, Alan. There isn't much iCOSA for sale across the board. Price going to go up hard. That's, if there's more demand than there is supply, that's how a market works. So there's just not deep liquidity amongst these tokens right now. And there's, like I had said earlier, there's a lot less supply of iCOSA, both eICOSA and PICOSA combined, than there was even at the creation of GIF. And GIF still did 363 X's.
Well, it started at a 1-to-1 first pulse. So one GIF was worth 1 pulse at the beginning.
Yep.
Correct. Well, it's actually worth a little bit less, but I like the 1 pulse or 1 GIF just to make it simple across the board. But at the end of the day, then what does it mean? Well, what's the easiest way to get iOSA if it's that rare? Well, I guess eHex, if the ceiling is close enough and the demand is enough on the other side, even if the ceiling is a little less, if you have a whole bunch of eHex sitting around, that's not a bad option for you to put your eHex to work.
Liquidity pools, going to do V2 or V3?
Should be V2.
Okay.
Yeah, most likely.
Pulsar,
I might well, the 9-inch doesn't have a V3 yet, and I know there's a lot of community members that are going to single side liquidity on 9mm, but I might possibly add some. I like the community taking advantage of the liquidity pools and the arbitrage opportunities. Like, I have not used the arbitrage opportunities but a couple times just to confirm that, you know, the way I was thinking things are going to work out did work out that way, which they were. I went into it with 100% success rate that my hypothesis was going to be correct. But I've left those arbitrage opportunities to the community, and we've really left the liquidity to the community as well, which has been awesome. So I might add something to a PulseX V2 or something, you know, just to try to be a good steward of the ecosystem. But I think the community is probably going to step in on that.
Well, I love that about everything that we're trying to do from the olden days is that we as a community come together to do stuff, right? It has nothing to do with SAC money or SAC funds or wallets coming in. SAC daddy's going to come in and fix it all. If you want to build it, build it. If you want to handle it, handle it. If you know how to do it, do it. You have these assets on hand, you use them to your advantage, right? Like, you have the resources necessary to create this thing should you care to. I mean, that's how you do something in a video game, an RPG, a pen and paper, or as you know, people in Rome come together to make bronze and iron weapons. If you can till the materials, you can forge it if you know how, and you have the wherewithal to get the materials. All that is in play right now, right? And so I said at the first Hex convention way back in the day, treat your wallet like a character and level up your character as you do with the assets and experience you need to understand what is going on. That's a very important lesson in systemic design, whether you care to learn it or not. It's always there. And now one says best cult ever.
Nah, I'm not even going to mention it.
Just creating the best culture.
Yeah.
Just finish it.
There you go. There you go. Well, I mean, it's true. Everything
Principles,
comes back.
not promises. Kool-Aid.
Principle. That was a good one. That was a good one. I mean, almost every major stream I come up with a good what the fuck Larryism.
Wow. I'm not even going to
I got a quick question. I don't know if it's been addressed yet, but we know that most devs and people that make projects, right, they're in it at some point. They're going to want some sort of payment for the work, right? Some guys do it by dumping coins and I don't think that's what your project does, right? Like your project, like, you guys don't have any free coins, right, from your projects. Nope. Like, you would have to mint them yourselves, right?
Yep. We have to participate in the ecosystem as well. And
my question, I get, like, what led you to do that? Like, because most people just want to create something and then they allocate themselves a certain percentage, and then as that goes up, they dump on the community.
Principles over promises.
To not want to do that.
Principles over promises. So we didn't want to max extract from the community. We like the idea of fair launch. We believe that should be the new wave of crypto and finding ways to do that. And we felt there was enough meat on the bone that we could participate at any time and there still be an opportunity in the future. Let me tell you, still be profitable to us.
Well, it's an interesting example because a bunch of us are from Colorado. New Belgium Brewery, Fat Tire. It is one of the hardest jobs back when I was a kid to get into. I mean, they used to get free beer on Sundays, but when the CEO of Fat Tire died, he put it in his will that he was gifting the company to the employees. So it became an employee-driven company right off the bat. And because of that, now the employee, it was already hard to get a job there because they treated their employees so well. Now the employees are the DAO, if you will, of this entire company. Do you think they're not going to be doing their damnedest every day for their job? Because they are the owners, all of them. And so what is best for the protocol is actually best for the user. So if you let greed and all these other past paradigms and problems seep into it, what's best for the protocol is best for all of the people that hold the tokens, that use the services, that actually build into the system, rather than having 30% for the founding team, 30% for marketing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's the difference between, again, inflation and creation. If you get airdrops, you get a incentive token that you sell down, it does do good things in your head because you get more token, versus binding all of this back into the protocol so that economic energy never leaves the system, and instead it compounds the system, which I find really fascinating. And it's like one of the bigger passion points I have about working with these fine gentlemen is that, like, this is really exciting because all the economic energy doesn't leave the boat to make it leaky. It hardens the boat. And that's the very interesting thing, is how we're refining this token creation, this utility mindset, this binding of economic energy going forward into more things going forward, because what's best for all of us by creating the asset is best for the entire system, rather than having someone dump on your heads. Now, also, we're encouraging people to use the system responsibly. If you want to get out, just set single-sided liquidity, or set something that in permanent loss is your way to escape. Like, in permanent loss is fantastic for a whale to leave his position with never touching a candle. It's just people aren't using the tools the correct way they're supposed to be used.
So to simplify that, what just occurred to me was the fault between iOSA and Hex, both year one. Both of them had massive inflation. Basically, were both bootstrapped by inflation. At the end of Hex, you had big payday, and that wrapped it up also by the OA doing the staking that it did on big payday. But then what the divergence where you get this is, as Hex continues on, more and more people continue to stake and lock up more and more supply off the market, whereas iOSA never got that. So the inflation come out, it just stayed on the market, and there was no more incentive to stake. This is essentially the big payday event that iOSA never got. This is the turning now, where more of the iOSA gets locked up off the market, and now we get to see essentially year 2 and 3 of Hex and iOSA.
Bravo. No, that is very well said.
Beautifully said. Yes.
100, sir. Yeah, you hit it right on the head.
I love it. Got some smart people in this community.
That's right. I like my Paul. I like my Paul. Smart, smart, smart. But that's what we need, is we good, thick conversations. And even if you aren't up to snuff with it, just keep watching the stuff over and over and over again. And the more you do, the quicker it happens. And it's just inherently, the more complex the system, the more complex the conversation. But how many people really care how a car works? You just turn a key and you press vroom, vroom and go, right? They really don't care about any of that other simple things. However, it's interesting with all of this that you can actually get under the hood without being a mechanic, right? That's the difference between understanding design and theory versus actually having to put into practicality that, GIF's doing right now, which is battle hardening and testing all the ratios, all the specifics with all the code, versus just understanding the theory of how it works.
Yeah, I want to address this because I don't think there's any reason to shy away from it. There's no problem. I got no problem with this one. So isn't the 10% to OA payment for you? That's only on PGIF. iOSA or iBurn does not have an OA payment whatsoever. 15% goes to the buy and burn of PGIF. 85% goes to the buy and burn of iBurn. So there is no OA payment. Now the 10% to OA payment for the PGIF, the amounts are so minimal with a 10 pulse. I mean, think about how many tokens you have to burn for there to be anything substantial in value to that 10% to the OA. There's no expectations for that. I promise you, I am not receiving that. I don't know who else on the team is going to say the same, but is going to claim that. But there's no expectations for that. And
but you just heard Kinetic say just a little bit ago that he wasn't even LPing because he wanted more of the rewards to go to the community. So that just speaks to more of who the team is.
No, 100%. I'm not doing the same thing because I have no bearing. But I mean, I suck at math. When I do math, gift comes in laughs. But I think like even if you got to the entire billion, I think the OA can only get 50 million pulse, which is nothing. But I do believe that the OA started minting some PGIF. So it's taking a part in the reflexive thing. When we talk about 50 million pulse, I mean, that's really not a lot. It's more of a proof of concept is what that OA did. And where moving of the funds into buckets was identified. Remember, the original GIF and PGIF was air quote experimental technology. We're running theses on how all these reflexive systems should work to see what happens to the next reflexive system has everything. But yeah, iBurn has 0 OA.
Yeah. I think the actual amount, this is purely hypothetical. There's no way this is ever going to happen. There's no way 100% of GIF is going to be transformed into PGIF. It's just, it's an absolute impossibility. Fragments of a GIF are going to be left in LP pools forever, even when you remove your liquidity. I don't know if anyone's noticed that when they remove liquidity, fractions of the pool still exist. So that right there takes out some of the supply. Some people are going to want to LP GIF forever, let everyone else do the transactions. So there's never going to be a billion PGIF. Well, it's not even possible now anyway. Even if 100% of the GIF was turned into PGIF, PGIF, there's been a little bit that's already been bought and burned off the market. And it, like I told Farmer Jay earlier, it's literally deleted. It is literally taken out of existence. It is not just sent to a dead address. So it's hypothetically impossible for there to be a billion PGIF. But I mean, I don't think we should shy away from it. If you've got a billion GIF, which will never 100% be minted into PGIF, but even if you did, at a 10 pulse protocol fee, that's 10 billion. 10% of it would go to, or so that'd be 1 billion of it may go to the OA at some point in time. No expectations of it, but I have a feeling that you can expect an African priest somewhere to be a good steward of the ecosystem.
I did hear earlier that just under 7%, I think it was like 6.93% of all GIF had already been burned.
Oh Jesus, it's already at 7%. Man, we are trying
3
to
weeks.
Well,
3
no,
weeks at the front end, but for the front end, sorry, most people didn't use the contract to
That's
go burn
true.
it. So
That's true.
I did it. The one time I even went through the whole like ARB machine, I did it through the contract just because I wanted to give the old girl a test run. And after that, I'm like, let the users do it. And I don't need to do anything with it. But man, we just need to get over that wallet that has the 10%. And the debt address is the #1 holder within what, 4 weeks, 5 weeks? That's bloody nuts. Simulation like that's stupid. That is absolutely.
There was someone that got in early that has a 10% of the supply, and we're constantly watching that address, and the community is cheering for the buy and burn to the dead address to own more than the guy that has the 10%. So we're like cheering it on, like, yeah, dead address, overcome the #1 wallet, become the #1 wallet and the #1 holder of GIF. So we're rooting it on. We're excited. We're just watching it closely to see how that's all going to play out. Hey, Marco, thanks for the great sentiments, man. I happen to agree with you, but I promise you that the OA percentage is never going to benefit me. But I'd rather the team get a % over time than a freaking sacrifice and gets paid ahead of time, and coins don't do shit. The coin does well, the team gets paid. Love it. Yeah, we're participants of the ecosystem too. So that means we have to be good stewards if we want to see this thing succeed. And so we're we're not doing anything different than what we're recommending the community do. The snipers are here. They exist to ruin everyone's fun. It's all good. I'm not scared of it because I feel like we've built such a bulletproof system. I'm not scared of the tough questions. I don't think there's any reason to shy away from them. Why the Kool-Aid? I love this. Why the hell would you get on a plane with no wings? It just doesn't make sense to me. Ramon, we'll reach out to you in the morning, buddy. So Ninja Magoo, every party has a pooper. Yeah, creation, not inflation, is sniper proof. We did have sniper bots get in before any of the rest of the team even knew that it was that GIF was deployed. It was the funniest thing. They completely exited out in like in the first 2x, something like that, or 1.5x. They were already gone. So.
Has anybody actually solved a feasible, like, definitive metric to stop them besides the minting?
So I'll tell you what did work is there was when PGIF first got launched. The first liquidity pool I saw deployed for PGIF versus Pulse, they set the price of PGIF automatically at the ceiling price of what GIF was. So GIF plus 10 Pulse. The sniper bot got absolutely nothing. It actually lost money on the trade. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
Yep. It's because someone just came in, minted more PGIF, and sold it back down to the ceiling price.
I'll take it.
Yep. So that's the best sniper prevention I've seen is the permeable tokenomics. I didn't even think of that as a marketing angle for the token, but
bot proof.
Yeah,
bot proof.
Bot proof on the permeable side.
Like I said, find me a downside to this thing. I haven't been able to find one yet.
We haven't either, and we've tried to think of everything we could. And of course we had the things that we could foresee. We did ahead of time, and we just assumed there was going to be something that popped up that was, you don't know what you don't know, and it was going to blindside us. And we've been very fortunate that everything's worked as planned so far.
Well, yeah. What have we been taught this whole time? There's no free lunch.
Yeah.
There's always a give and take somewhere.
Yep. Yeah. So we tried to play those give and takes to be a benefit to the system versus something that could wreck the system. Marco, namaste. No, I'm just kidding. Bless you, brother. Thank you so much for the kind words, man. We appreciate it. Well, I think what we'll do at this point in time is I'm going to go ahead and just kind of close it down. That way people who want to go watch the conference have the opportunity to do so. We apologize. Again, if you guys didn't catch it at the beginning, everything is good on the code side. The UI is ready to go up the moment that everything is good. We are having issues with the Block Explorer because we know how great the Block Explorer is for PulseChain. We're waiting for it to verify the contracts. That way we can, with absolute confidence, release the contract addresses to you guys without any comments, negative comments about why it's not a verified contract, as well as making sure, and we've already run the test many times, or I shouldn't say we have, because it was not me that did it, but everything is working great. We're just waiting. Nothing we can do at this point. It's taken so much longer than we expected it to. So I appreciate you guys. You guys have any final
just come to the Telegram chat with us.
Yeah, just a quick question. When do you guys expect to, after this project is all settled in, when do you expect to launch whatever you're working on next? Not necessarily what you're working on, but what's the timeline on what you guys are working on after this project?
The next one's going to be Pulsar, because Pulsar is taking all the different systemic designs, the chess pieces in the board that we worked, not game theory, game mechanics, right? And that's going to be binding two L1s to each other, which is very, very, very interesting. That's actually how we started on this journey. And then running that cyclical circle, the spokes on the wheel, what we've learned between all of the rest of those things. Once we have that, then we really have all the internal data that we set out to achieve to then strike to the more bigger things. But also make sure you check out fanforge.xyz. All core team on Gift Tech is also working on FanForge to bring real entertainment to PulseChain. Real Billy Badasses of the gaming industry, the creator of Tyrael from Diablo 1, the cinematic finisher. We're doing big stuff to try to get all of that over here.
Is there any way we can get a link to the chat for more information about that?
Yeah, one sec.
Is it the Giffordware? I already put it in the.
No, I was going to drop it in this chat here.
Oh, okay. Oh,
hell no, Moonmutt, dude. We party all night long on the launch night. No, there ain't no fucking bedtime. Hey, is there any flywheels being attached to Pulsar? I know you keep calling these flywheels, which is probably not a bad term.
Well, but they're just systemic design. So like the mathematical equation for game theory, people want to use the term is parenthesis, mechanics, rules, divided by systemic design, the board, end parenthesis, times social consensus, your opponent or yourself based on your understanding of the forefront equation. So that's technically a flywheel, is how you load balance reinforcing loops and balancing loops and everything in between when it comes to systemic design. So that's what we're trying to understand. And then on the other side, we have FanForge, bringing the entertainment side in. So we have a lot of things that we're trying to do to unilaterally push up PulseChain as the most decentralized blockchain that there is, you know, and that's our belief. That's our love. That's what we're trying to do.
Kind of go back on Pulsar if anybody's confused on what it is. Instead of like if you're in a video game and you're going from one universe to the next universe and you got like a wrapped copy of your character over on the other universe, think of it like a actual Pulsar where your character goes through and your actual character comes out on the other side.
Bravo.
I like that. That's a good way to put it. Good way to summarize that. Yeah, Marco, we're hurrying it up just for you, just for our guy Marco.
That's right.
We love him so much.
Well, it is important for us to get to this leg of the journey rather than to rush like everyone else does with SAC funds, and then it falls flat on their face. So, like, there's a very important tenement to taking time to cook your dinner correctly. Right? To give it the time to mature, to have it the time to marinate, to all the things that you need to really understand what is going on rather than rush on theory.
I think I'm going to go to bed.
I was saying, you got kids in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to shuttle them around tomorrow. It's a busy season of the year for my family with spring sports and church activities and trying to launch software. Software is hard, guys.
Graduations and birthdays. That's all May and June.
Graduations. Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of birthdays. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I just worked the tech booth for a nurse graduation earlier today. So it was
You show them Pulsar and iBurn?
I did. I put them up on the screen, and they're like, "What the hell is this?" The crypto noobs know nothing about crypto.
Put the burn cream on them. They're burning.
Yeah, right, right. You need some iBurn. You need some iBurn cream, guys. So, all right.
iBurn.
I'm gonna get out of here. I just didn't know if anyone had any final thoughts.
Now, we should just keep a lookout on the Telegram chat, right, for the launch and stuff.
Yeah,
100.
Put the link for Maddie's PulseChain conference.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Might as well, huh? Yeah, let's support Maddie. He's a net good for this ecosystem. It's awesome that he's doing this.
Yeah, I think the rest of the DJing roundtable guys are over there right now.
Yes, they are currently going. So I will put that here. All right, just want everyone to have it. Click on it, go directly over there. Let's raid them, and don't listen to anything this dude playing a dude playing a chick.
and
It says, all right.
Enough.
All right, guys. Have a great night. See ya.
Peace out.